Today I have some more clips to react to from the show Dinner with the Enemy. Dinner with the Enemy is an Irish TV program which brings 10 people together from vastly different backgrounds, left, right, center, far left, and it's amazing to see the different opinions on this. So obviously we have Ben Scallon, we have some people that are more right-leaning, which is great to see. And today I'm going to be reacting to these clips. I think the show itself is actually very exciting, great show. They would not have me on the show, even though I would want to think that I get just as many views as half of these people on their own shows. But it's amazing to see them pushing the messages like Ben and these other people pushing the messages of more, right-leaning ideology, because that's really censored in mainstream media. Let's get the first clip going that I could find on Instagram. This is from Virgin Media Television. They're talking about immigration.
We agree that it's wrong to enter a country illegally.
Absolutely.
And falsely claim asylum. Can we at least agree on that much?
Well, what if you were in that position?
If I was in a position of falsely claiming asylum, I wouldn't do that.
How do you know until you're in the position?
I think you see here quickly how a hot topic that's so current can dominate now and just annihilate the group dynamic here a little bit.
Let's say you're coming from one of these war-torn countries.
But if they were genuinely fleeing, then it wouldn't be a false claim.
If I can interject, because I come from that dynamic and that background, right? I grew up in Congo, so when we're growing up at that time, there was a sort of martial law, but it wasn't martial law by the government. It's rebel groups, right? So there's periods where I went to the supermarket with my dad and rebel soldiers came. When they come, they're taking any kid. Your parents can't do anything. They'll kill your parents if you try to stop them.
As a kid, I didn't realise the danger of what was going on. My dad had to train us on, look, if this happens and I tell you to hide, this is what you guys are going to do. I've seen when kids are taken away from their family and brought into these rebel groups, the acts that they're made to commit, taking other people's lives and the drugs that they're forced to inhale, physically, mentally, spiritually, not the same person. And in Africa, that's a reality for a lot of people right now. So I understand the fear from my mother and my father to get us out of the country when they did.
I know you say, if I was in that situation, I wouldn't do it illegally. But what if it's the savior? It's the only way you can provide your family with security.
I completely agree. But I'm talking about people who make false claims.
But
you can't differentiate between the two.
How can you differentiate? Have you sat down with every person and asked them their story?
My favorite people on the show, definitely Ben and Tayam. Tayam's an absolute legend. I actually watched loads of his stuff years ago on different podcasts. When they say, can you check everybody before they come in? Well, absolutely, guys. Absolutely. That's what the immigration department does. They have to make sure whether your claim is false or whether it's actually coming from Congo, horrendous, very war-torn place. I hate to see any kid get killed or taken by rebel troops. The situation is the numbers, guys. I have like I said before, I have no problem with immigration in principle with the micros of people. Everyone is cool. Whether you're Asian, whether you're from Africa, everyone's cool. Okay, if you're a good person, you want to work hard, that's all it takes, to be honest. But the problem is the numbers, guys. At what point does Ireland turn into a different country? Could we take 10 million, 20 million Chinese people? Probably not, guys, right? So, and Tayam understands that. He's a great dude. He actually says really great stuff on the show. I agree with literally everything that guy says. But Ben is explaining, these claims that most people get here are illegal. They're coming from other countries that they've already sought refugee status in. If you're coming from the Middle East, guys, and you stop over in Turkey, that's the first country maybe that you hit. And the first country that you go to, you have to seek international refuge there, I believe, right? So a lot of the times, the lines, it gets mixed up, gets tied up. So it is hard to determine illegal and legal. I do understand that. But the best background checks and checks of people should be done before people come here. Tayam's a really hardworking guy, businessman, so is Ben. So are all the more right-leaning people. If you're more conservative, you're probably going to be a businessman. You're probably going to be in shape, working out. It's kind of just how it seems to go like that, right? But there are tons of people coming here claiming asylum, and they're not really seeking asylum. They're really seeking economic asylum, okay? And that's for the security of the border of Ireland to actually check. But like I said, you also can't have hundreds of millions of people flood into Ireland. That just wouldn't be the case. We have the equivalent of 9 million refugees going to America per year. 9 million a year to the US. And they really only have 1 million per year. So it's a very overhauled system. We have hundreds of thousands of people coming in. It's not a good situation here in Ireland whatsoever, the immigration situation. Let's get into the next clip.
That maybe if there's so many people, so many fanatic Muslims coming here that hate anyone that's gay, are you not worried about that?
No, sorry. Why is it Muslim? There's people coming into the country that aren't.
Like, 2 seconds. I just asked, I've noticed that you have like brought Muslims in a few times in this conversation, and I'm just really curious, why are you constantly bringing Muslims into every conversation?
Because
why is that something that you're doing?
Most of their culture.
What is it? Why do you feel the need to like drop Muslims into every conversation?
I'm worried about Izzy. I'm worried about.
I'm not scared. I'm scared of mostly Irishmen.
But there's a full ideology coming for you into this country that really. Like,
I was reared in the battle against Irish people, my own kind. So I'm not really too worried about the next kind because it's going to be in
You've already met the worst.
I've seen it already.
So this Natasha one, she's like defending like people from Arabic countries. You know, I was born in an Arabic country, guys. I know far more than she knows about this situation. It seems like she's off on antidepressants, SSRIs. She's very erratic. You know, every time I see her, she seems very just emotional and just crazy crackpot. And not sure exactly how the rest of the season is going to go with her on it, but just a crazy woman, guys, crazy woman. So that person is a transgender person that says they've met the worst people. So he's basically trying to compare Irish men calling him the F word and gay and these kind of insults to ISIS, who will literally chop your head off if you're gay or LGTV. You think they have LGTV in Afghanistan? No, guys, that's not the case. Truth be told, like I said before, I don't care about race, religion, any of that kind of stuff. Problem is, there are extremist radicals, fundamentalists, that will kill you if you're LGTV, 100%. So the person here that's saying he met the worst people are the Irish people that used to make fun of me and used to punch me. How about getting shot and killed? How about getting your head chopped off for your gay beliefs, you know? It's a lot worse, guys. He said, I've met the worst of the worst. How about being burned alive for your religious beliefs? Yeah, guys, you have definitely not seen the worst already. In a lot of countries, not obviously the civilized ones, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, not these places. They're open to somewhat everything if you're in your own home. But if you go to Afghanistan, if you go to flipping Iraq or one of these sort of places, they throw you off building. You know, they set you on fire, they burn you, they torture you if you're LGTB. So to compare these people, fundamental radicalists, to Irish people is a clown show.
I'll ask you one question, right? How often do you get racially abused daily?
I can...
No, in public, not
in
online.
public, yes. I can actually tell you a story from a few months ago when 3 young fellas actually racially abused me and homophobically abused one of my friends at the exact same time, walking from Stephen's Green up to Bambino, and belted us out of it with dog biscuits and called me the M-word. And called him the F-word.
Have you had
So
more...
explain that.
Sorry, okay.
Me and my friends have so many situations. Men can look at you and try to chat you up, and the minute you turn them down, they become racist.
No, I understand from that. But in Ireland, have you had more positive experiences with Irish people than negative?
Negative, and that's I grew up in a predominantly white school my whole life. The minute COVID hit and I started embracing my black side, I cut off literally every single white person I was friends with, apart from 3 people. So yes.
I've seen racism in Ireland, and it is something we need to address and not pretend it's not there. And I really think Taim was trying to sweep that racism under the carpet, and I really wanted to jump into the conversation, but I felt like it's not my place. You know, Sophie can speak from experience. I can only speak from what I've seen other people go through.
Just because you didn't have the same life as me, I don't know who you were hanging around with growing up.
I don't believe that she's had more experiences when it comes to racism in this country than myself. I came here in the early 2001s. Racism was incredibly high. There were certain areas that you couldn't walk through in Tallaght by yourself as a black person. I was attacked. I've had fights over racism. So I've seen the progress that this country's made, and I've been a part of some of the work that's helped move the needle forward towards race relations in this country.
You know, it's terrible to see people getting racially attacked. You never want to see that. That's obviously disgusting, guys. But this woman here saying that, you know, that 3 young fellas came up and attacked her. I mean, to take a cross-section of Ireland and to say it's racist because 3 young fellas verbally attacked you and threw things at you and called you names, it's not really indicative of like the entire majority of the Irish population. You know, the entire majority of Irish population wouldn't be like that. Like if you're taking 3 young fellas, like we're talking about lads from literally the ghettos of flipping Tallaght and these really run down, destitute areas, I wouldn't give a shit what any of these kids say. They're just crazy. These are teenagers and they're Irish teenagers pretty much, that take over certain parts of Dublin. They fight you, they push you. Even I was talking to a girl recently, she got flipping shouldered off the road, off the flipping path, onto the road, in front of cars by a couple of teenagers. This is a girl who's, like a 30-year-old woman, right? So it's just ridiculous, guys. I mean, these teenagers are psycho. And this girl I was talking to is a white girl, right? So they just attack everybody. They just literally are psycho. They're just looking for a reason to fight people, stab people, hurt people. So taking 3 teenagers, young 14-year-olds, as the sort of the base, kind of make them the base of Irish people, really isn't a good way to kind of label the majority of Irish people in this country. Obviously, there's people that don't like people for certain races. That's not good, guys. If you just don't like somebody because of what they look like, obviously that's not good. People here want to preserve culture, understandably so, heritage, understandably so. And Tayam explained it perfectly right there. And of course, like in the early 2000s would be a lot worse than it is now, right? Things get better as time goes on. If you look at other countries, there's massive racism in North Africa, in Central Africa, in Latin America, massive racism in Latin America, in the Middle East, hugely, in Pakistan, India, in flipping Japan, Korea, massive racism, far worse than anything that you'll find here in Ireland. Okay, they have like governmental racism. They have like systematic, what they call it, systemic racism in those countries. Like Japan, like come on, lads, like come on, like this. It's just way worse in these other countries than it is in Ireland. Like Europe is definitely the hub for diversity and being inclusive to people, all right? Let me know your thoughts on that, guys. I think Dinner with the Enemy is a great show. Hopefully they'll have me on. Probably not, though. Too controversial for TV. Okay, I love you guys all. If you want to support me, hit the join link underneath the video so I can help support you all, push back against the mainstream media, the Irish government, and all in between. I'll see you guys all in the next one, man. Peace.